Southwark Park at 2 o'clock.
I'm going to have a little mingle then, see who else is about.
Yeah, all right. Lovely to meet you. What was your first name?
David. Yeah.
David John. Yeah.
I say I'll review this when I get home and then I'll tag you up in the description.
Yeah, do that, yeah.
Good stuff, buddy. Have a good one, yeah.
And you, David?
To do a little more dieting for the physical heart. All right? All right? It means exercise. Diabetes is on the corner for all of us. But the spiritual heart, Jesus Christ promised, I will give you.
Two good-looking blokes in the video now. Two good-looking blokes in the video now.
One, he's not so good.
Through his son, that he would give us true love.
I was just thinking who's got the best beard out of you two. I was just thinking who's got the best beard out of you two. Yeah, they're both nice beards.
Brushing it the whole day.
That's made up in this book. This book says yes, yes.
Hi guys.
This book says no, no.
Thank you very much for coming back to the channel. This is going to be an interesting video because I might have got in a bit deeper than I should have done. Although I have to say, I think at the end of the video, you've got to watch it all the way through because I think I could have done much better. And anyway, I shall catch you guys later. And do that job, by the way. I'm at Speaker's Corner in London.
You have something to say? Wait your turn. Don't shout. You are number one. All right? When I get to number one, I'll let you know. And you are number 72. Now, yes, you can go home. It's okay. He's number one. Afraid? I love this guy. He loves me. Don't you dare try to get in between us. Hey, just comb your beard. You keep combing. He loves his beard. Oh, he loves that beard. And he loves his mirror. Anybody got a mirror? Now listen, I'll tell you this. I love his beard better than yours. A lot easier to take care of. Now, do you love God? All right. How do you show God you love Him? How? How do you submit?
Submit, obey,
How?
physically, I establish a prayer, and I pray for His excellency.
All right. So you love Allah enough that you pray to Him because why?
Because I love Him,
That's it?
and He loves me, and He gives me so much I have.
Okay, so you're missing the most important part. Why? You pray.
I pray because I have to pray. It's gratitude for His creation for me, and for all what He does.
He prays mostly because he asked forgiveness for his sin, which he forgot to say. The most important thing.
My prayer is included.
You didn't say that. You kept saying it's about his excellency. It's about he does and gives everything. But you forgot the most important reason why we pray. Because we need forgiveness of our sins.
How do you pray?
I pray through a mediator.
This is the difference between you and me.
That's because this was first. This was second. This right here says, for God, this says that Jesus was born of a virgin. Right?
Stay with me. Stay with me.
Hey.
Stay with me.
Don't you red pass now. No. Jesus was born of a virgin. Right? Was Jesus born of a virgin? Was Jesus born of a virgin? Right? Where did that information come? The Bible said that Jesus was born of a virgin, and then the Quran wrote
When we get to the bit that says, and was incarnate from the Holy Spirit and the Virgin Mary and was made man, it is customary at that point to bow as you say those words, in symbolism that Christ is descending to the earth. And at Christmas Day, we actually kneel when we say those words. Just like on Good Friday, when we recite the words, and he suffered death and was buried, on Good Friday, we kneel at that point in the recitation of the Creed. Another thing you might not know is that the Latin West and the Greek East have a variation on the Creed called the Filioque, which is in Greek what we translate into English, who proceeds from the Father, Filioque, and the Son. Now, that and the Son was inserted by the Latin West without the authority of an ecumenical council. It was something that became adopted, and the last church in the Latin West to accept the use of the Filioque was Rome. The Vatican was the last of the Latin churches to accept the Filioque in the year something like 908. Now this statement, Filioque, depending on how it's interpreted, has a theological impact in our understanding of the Trinity, but it is still the same Trinity. It sits within a latitude of interpretation that is acceptable, but there is a Latin and Eastern way of understanding the Filioque that's accepted by both churches, because there are Eastern Rite Roman Catholic churches that don't use the Filioque, but they are in communion with Rome. Now, furthermore, when we say we look for the resurrection of the dead, by custom and tradition, Christians make the sign of the cross, because what we are saying is that we hope for the resurrection, we believe in the resurrection. Now, I've got many more things to say about this, but I'm going to pause for questions. So has anybody got a question at this point on what I've said so far before I move on? Any questions going once, twice, 3 times? Okay, so let me go on. So why then do Christians use creeds? Because nowhere in the Bible can you find a command that says, and I want you to use a creed. Now that demonstrates something to you. It demonstrates that Christians don't use the Bible like a book. We don't necessarily use the Bible follows the belief. After all, where is the biblical put together the Bible? Where is the biblical list of books in the Bible? Where is the word Bible in the Bible? The fact of the matter is that Christians don't use the Bible that way. But when you read the Bible, you find examples of early creeds in Scripture, such as the creed in 1 Thessalonians 15, which, for want of a better name, was called the Creed of the Resurrection. It was an early of the church. So the creed was being used by Christians from down
Let me explain. It tells me I create a
Oh, I love I do love the paparazzi.
How you doing?
I'm all right. Sorry?
Are you the one take pictures from far and everything? How you doing?
From far? No, I haven't got. I've got a zoom actually. That's yeah.
What's that on your head?
It's a GoPro type thing.
Yeah.
It's the DJI one, which I find to be better.
What are you
The reason Because most people put them on the chest, but then when they hear a bang, they go like that.
Yeah. You
Well, the
capture
camera hasn't got it.
Yeah.
Well, if I hear a bang and I look, the camera's got it.
Yeah, ready.
So it works for me. Yeah. It works for me. Yeah. Especially in if you're in
We'll
the
have a
crowd.
conversation.
Sorry?
What you here? What's your purpose of coming here today?
Well, it's my first time,
Oh, is it?
and
Come on, you want to have a
do-
conversation?
yeah.
Come, I introduce you. Regarding what topic? What would you like?
Well, I've got about 350 videos I've taken over the last year, but I haven't found a niche. So I don't know what I'm doing. I've probably got, I don't know, 80 to 100 different types of video. But I like that.
Yeah, have a discussion with him. He's right, very good, you know.
Yeah. What does he do?
He's quite popular here.
Yeah. What does he do?
Right?
What does he do? What does he talk about?
Talk about everything.
Yeah.
Basically. What would you like to talk about anyway? Would you like to talk about what's happening in Palestine or religion or anything?
No, I'm not really.
When it comes to exegesis,
I can't honestly tell you. I tend to be listening to something. Like I get on a lot of the live shows on the internet, and I just listen. And then if something comes up, I think, oh, when I talk about, I'll ask to go on the panel,
What's
and then
on
I'll
the
talk
mind
about
right
that.
now?
Probably. I mean, if you want to talk about religion and, for instance, the Palestine thing and the protesters right now, what I find interesting, or what I want to know, is what are they going to do? Because they've been protesting a lot, and now hopefully we've got this ceasefire. I'm wondering what the protesters are going to do.
Ceasefire and what's going to happen after that? Are they going to continue?
I've only ever asked that they stop the bombing and the other side give the hostages back. That's what I do.
Giving
That's
the
what I.
hostages back, yeah. What do you think? Israel going to continue the war?
Well, no, I hope not. No, this is not.
Well, you said they're going to continue the war.
They're going to continue.
Yeah.
What, to get rid of Hamas then?
Well, they destroyed half, 80%.
Yeah.
they can't get rid of Hamas.
No.
Strategist.
Because it's so underground. I mean, that's why they haven't gone in, isn't it? Because it's going to lose so many of their soldiers. If you're going to fight, you can't fight Hamas in their own territory. You're going to lose.
So that can't be the objective then. If the objective is then impossible.
Well, I think that was the objective in the first place. Just not possible.
What do you think the objective is now after seeing so much destruction there?
What Israelis' objective? You mean?
Yeah.
I would think still find a way of getting rid of Hamas.
But you've already admitted that that's one of those objectives that
It's going to be very difficult. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, if they can't bomb the place, the only way is to go in, and that's going to cost them too many lives.
What do you think of British and American? You're British yourself, right?
I am, yes.
So what do you think of Britain's involvement in Israel when we're seeing headlines like 1 in 5 people are skipping meals in the UK? Like, you can barely even survive but maintain our own lifestyles.
I think we've had enough experience of going into wars, Iraq, Afghanistan. Then we, as far as I'm concerned, we should not be going in what's the word? It's not going in with Israel. It's not the right thing. But I don't think we should be back in Israel to the point we are.
Did you see that clip just recently? I think it was like 2 or 3 days ago. There's an interview of Joe Biden. And I mean, if we can take anything that these guys say seriously, but he was saying that in the first couple of weeks, he said, and this is what the pro-Palestinian side has been saying for a very long time, that Israel carpet bombed Palestine. That's what they've been doing. No, that's an exaggeration. No, that's not right. But Biden actually said to Netanyahu, I told him, stop carpet bombing Palestine. That's not going to be the solution. So we're seeing a lot of those things that were said earlier on come to the fore now. And do you believe collective responsibility? You know, when you hold a country collectively responsible for the actions of a few, bomb them to smithereens, bomb them to the dark ages. Is that something that?
That's not the right thing to do. No.
So when people try justify that and say no, but we're trying to get Hamas, we're trying to get this boogeyman that apparently can't be got, some abstract boogeyman. How does that make you feel when Britain is arming such a endeavor? And people, do you think extremism will decrease, or do you think it's going to increase?
I'm afraid I think it's going to increase. I'm afraid so. I don't want it to, obviously.
I think you're right as well.
But you know, there's other things. I also don't agree with the way that that war was started. I think that I think Hamas was in the wrong doing that, starting it, and then followed by, I think Israel's been in the wrong since the way that they've been acting. So
when do you think it started?
I can't remember the exact. Was it October 7th? I'm sure the war started a lot before then, but you know the main problem was it October 7th?
Well, that's
like
what
that.
The Israelis would have us believe.
Yeah.
October the 7th. That's what they want to drill. However, it started obviously from 1947.
Yes.
That's
I understand that.
Yeah.
When
it was written that, you know what, this is where you guys are going to go, this is where they're going to go.
Yes.
We're giving them a chunk of your land.
Yeah.
Post Balfour Declaration, where some people have analysed that letter. I don't know if you've seen the Balfour Declaration.
No.
And then it starts with "Dear Rothschild," and you've got the higher ups in the British establishment addressing a wealthy family man. Like, how can you know, if we were to gift each other stuff, if we were acquaintances, I'd give you maybe a box of Celebrations, maybe some perfume, maybe some socks. But here, Rothschild's been gifted a country.
Yeah.
Which is, you're like, can you gift somebody a country when there's people living on there? And that's where it's really started. There was something called the Nakba, which was the forced expulsion of the Palestinians and the mass killing of Palestinians.
I also have to say, you know, I've been I don't mind moaning about my own government and the Americans for what they've been doing. But as I say, Hamas, as far as I was concerned, should not have gone in like they did on the 7th of October. And also, I'm concerned about the hostages. I'm not happy with the way that the hostages have been treated. I'm worried, you know, I'm worried now that they don't want to give I'm worried that they don't want to give the hostages back now, because I'm concerned about torture on both sides. You know, there's going to be some hostages going back with some possibly. Is this the reason why neither side wants to really give hostages back? Is it because, you know, the signs of torture are going to be there?
I mean, if we look at the evidence so far, because obviously we're taking whatever we see from the media and from the studies that are there at the moment, when we compare hostages coming out of both countries, when we see hostages coming out from Palestine, they seem to be fine and in good health. But when we see hostages coming out of Israel, we see them very scrawny, very thin, food, water deprived.
I can't say that. I haven't seen that. So.
And there's another that maybe you could search up. It's called Sidi Timan camp, in which it was all over the news, the New York Post, CNN, BBC. There was actually video footage of Israelis sexually abusing prisoners. And you know the sort of stuff that they were taking rods and they were sticking it up the rectums
Really,
of the
yeah.
Palestinian prisoners to such a degree it would rupture the internal organs.
Yeah.
And when they took these people to the doctors, because
Yeah.
then the prison guards were a bit frightened, they were a bit worried on what's going to
Yeah.
happen. What then happened was the doctor was like, what
No, I really do.
to these
Yeah.
people? And it was all over the media. And Bet Selem, who's an Israeli-based human rights organization, they wrote a report called Welcome to Hell.
Yeah.
And in there they talk about 10,000 Palestinians that have been sexually abused,
Yeah.
physically abused, mentally, emotionally abused. That's something recorded. That's something evidenced by the authorities.
I think it's just disgusting and and shouldn't happen.
And then you know what happened thereafter? Sorry, what's your name?
I'm John.
John, my name is Zishan. So John, you know what happened afterwards? This was the thing that really kind of made a lot of people question the mentality of the current society in Israel, which was these abusers that were standing trial were then brought onto TV shows and news shows, and they were actually being humanized, which of course is unheard of when it comes to criminals undergoing a trial. That's something you don't get involved in. On top of that, there was a clip, and you can see this up of a rabbi putting his hand on his head going, well done my son, well done. You are clearly attacking the enemy. What you're doing is right. We are with you. So the question is that we know abusing, raping is terrible, abhorrent,
Yes.
bad. But when it's being celebrated on Israeli television, when it's being celebrated by the rabbis on again television, we're in the UK, how are we seeing this? We're seeing clips from their channels being broadcast and sent over here. This sort of stuff is indicative of a sick society. A society that has convinced itself that they have a God-given right to land. Because when it comes to this conversation, George Galloway says, I don't believe God is a realtor. Like, he doesn't deal with this is your land, this is your land, this is this, this is that. And especially if you're killing children, you're killing innocent people, because over half, well, according to I think the BBC, it was 70% of the casualties in Gaza are women and children. So John, when we hear this, and when it comes to I don't know if you remember Ukraine, when Ukraine happened, even when we went to the self-checkouts in Tesco, they would ask, do you want to donate to Ukraine?
Yes.
Even when you go to your bank and you take out money, at the end it says, would you like to give 30 pence to Ukraine?
Yeah.
You had sports stars going onto the pitch with, you know, I heart Ukraine on there and support for Ukraine. So there was all of this, you know, support for Ukraine. However, when it comes to Palestine, if I was to ask you, John, which high-profile celebrity or even politician would you say that has stood up for Palestine that comes to your head?
George. Can't think of his surname. I'm sorry, I do suffer a little bit of dementia, and it stops me thinking. George. I can't think of his.
Is it George Galloway?
Yeah, it's George Galloway for one. Really, he's the only one that comes to mind at the moment. But then again, you know, there's not that many on the right, if you call it the right of centre. Let's say there's not many people that have come out for that. You know, okay, you got the farmer guy and a couple of others, but again, they're all keeping what they think to themselves, aren't they? And they're not coming out on either side, I don't think.
I think the Israeli lobby, especially when it comes to the UK, more so with the US, is very influential and it's very powerful. If you look at some of the major institutions here, the gatekeepers of the data are Israeli companies. Whether you look at Nice Systems, whether you look at Celebrite, whether you look at, you know, many others as well.
Yes.
And looking after the Ministry of Defence data, police data. I mean, Nice Systems and Celebrite. You know, if you were to, God forbid, get stopped in the street by the police and they check your phone, for them to break into your phone, they'd have to use a couple of software, Celebrite and Nice Systems.
What they've just done to Tommy Robinson, isn't it?
Well, Tommy Robinson, I think he was incarcerated because he was, one of the reasons was when that whole grooming thing was going on, he was trying to get to America with a false passport. Another
Yes,
time.
which he shouldn't have done. Yeah.
And
But
then
what
he was
they've done
trying
now
to
is
interfere in a
they,
trial,
yeah.
a grooming trial,
Yeah.
and he was, I think, the victims had been waiting months for it to go to trial, and he just turned up with a camera to record for his documentary.
Yes. That's not why they took his phone though. They took his phone when they arrested him for contempt of court.
Yes.
And that's when they insisted on taking his phone.
Yeah.
And because he wouldn't give them the phone,
Yeah.
they then arrested him, or they're going to arrest him on terrorism charges. So, but
Which is ironic. Yeah.
yeah, because
So-
he's no terrorist, is he?
So
Whatever
they-
you think of him.
So they use Celebrite, and they use nice systems to even break into access Tommy Robinson's phone if he doesn't
Yeah.
give the password.
Yeah.
It's ironic you bought Tommy Robinson because Tommy Robinson is of course heavily funded by certain Israeli.
I'm
think
told
tanks.
by Israel. Yeah.
Yeah. So and the EDL, the English Defence
But,
League.
yeah, I'm not
initially-
saying he's not, but I presume that the Palestinian side would be well funded as well. So, I mean, what do you think's wrong by Tommy Robinson getting funded by the Israelis or anybody else? Why do you think that's wrong?
I think it's wrong when you're trying to do a sleight of hand. So when you claim to be putting the British people first, standing up
Yes.
for the British people, then you should stick by your words. And you should be sticking up for the British people without letting foreign interference guide your direction in different ways.
Yeah.
If
Is
with
there any?
Palestinians,
Well, is there any proof that is obviously proof he's taking money, let's say, from the Israelis? Is there anything he's doing? Do you think there's something he's doing for them that for that money, or I haven't seen anything that he's doing for the Israelis?
so the EDL, you're familiar with the EDL, yeah? English Defence League.
Yeah, if you go back 10 years, yes.
Yeah, but what's interesting, because obviously he was a founder of that,
Yes.
one of the founders of that. Did you know what the initial name of the EDL was?
No, I don't.
It
No.
was English and Jewish Defence League.
Okay.
So that's how it started.
Yes.
It was not particularly putting the interests of the Brits forward. Now, if you want to do that, like the Trump slogan, "Make America Great Again," it should be "Make America Great Again," not "Make America and Israel Great Again." Do you see?
Yes, I understand that.
Yeah, so if you've got certain people that come along and say, "Look, we are all for America and Israel," it's clear. It's clear what your mentality is. The ADL, of course, are lobby
Should we
group.
be going back that far? I mean, lots of people make mistakes. He was a football hooligan maybe 15, 20 years ago, but I've done a lot of things in my life. I'm 76 years old now. But if you go back to my younger days, I've done a lot of things that I'm not proud of. It doesn't make me a bad person now. And I think when you think of Tommy Robinson came out of the EDL, walked away from it because he didn't like where it was going, it was racist, which I believe he's not. I've not heard anything come from Tommy Robinson that says he's racist. Nothing at all. But he probably was in those days. But that's 10 years ago. I don't think we can pull him to bits now for what he did 10 years ago.
Yeah, there's a slight distinction what I'm saying. I'm saying when it comes to his goal, a lot of people think is putting Britain first. Yeah, but when you are affiliating with a foreign government, you're getting funding from the likes of Middle East Forum, Rebel Media,
Yes.
Ezra Levant, then we can see that obviously things are going to be a bit skewed. And there's a clip of Tommy Robinson, it's all over YouTube, in which
Yes.
he says that if there was a war tomorrow,
I remember. I
I
saw
would
that
be on
one.
the
Yeah.
side of Israel.
Yes.
Now, somebody saying that who claims to put Britain first.
When did he say that? Was that when he was doing that sort of the university and college talks. It was a while ago, though, wasn't it?
But here's the difference. Let's take people in a similar kind of position as him. Jada Franson, who was part of Britain First, and Nick Griffin, part of the BNP.
Yes.
Both Nick Griffin and Jada Franson, they have retracted clearly, what they've said in the past and the mistakes that they've made.
Yes.
Tommy Robinson, barely even, the co-founder of the EDL, he was caught doing sexual abuse.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, and so was 17 other members, either members or supporters of the EDL, who I can give you the names if you want, who he hasn't condemned. And that was during his time at the EDL.
I certainly condemn Nick Griffin.
So those 17 people that were doing sexual abuse under Tommy's watch, the question is, why are you not speaking out against it, Tommy? That's the first thing. Number two, why are you not putting Britain first like you should be doing? Why involve a foreign power and even accept foreign money? When it comes to Palestinian groups, the reason you know they're Palestinian is because they're not hiding it. They say we are advocating for the rights of Palestine. They don't claim, John, to be advocating for Britain, to put Britain first, the British white women, British white men. Tommy claims to be doing that.
Can I ask you, who was Tommy talking about then when he said he would stand up for Israel in the war? I mean, that wasn't against England, was it?
But regardless,
but who was it? Who was it against? I mean, if it was against the Palestinian people, that
he didn't specify.
No, but I could understand him saying that if he had to choose between the people of Palestine and Israel, then he would choose Israel for his own. No, but surely I'm presuming that's what he meant. He didn't mean he'd stand up for Israel against Great Britain. There's no way. He didn't say that either, but I'm sure there's no way that's the case. That man, as far as I'm concerned, is a lover of Great Britain.
He's that?
He's a lover of Great Britain, and he would stand up.
That's my
maybe, but yeah, I know he said Israel first, but that's not against Great Britain. If you ask him, which I can guarantee 99.9%, that he would say he would back Great Britain against Israel.
We'll have to ask him, but the thing is, John, when you see 1 in 5 Brits that are skipping a meal just so they can continue their living standard and survive in these tumultuous times, I would say you should be putting Britain first. That's the priority. That's why people are so intent on securing borders. That's why they're so intent on worrying about what's going on here. And that's why even yourself, you've been honest with me, and I appreciate that. When we see the unjust, disproportionate actions of Israel abroad, we don't want part of that, and many Brits don't want a part of that.
I don't want part of it.
That's what I'm saying. And that's why I think it should be somebody that puts Britain first, rather than Britain and Israel first. And I do think, right, what have we gained from Israel as a country, as a nation? What have they done for us?
I don't know, putting money into this country,
Nope,
rich people,
most of London,
business-wise, yeah.
Most money that's been pumped into the country has been done by the Qataris. And either Qatar, UAE, and in there, of course, Abu Dhabi and the likes. Most, whether it's the Shard, whether it's, most of, when you look at central London, it's owned and funded. And even, you had the likes of Barclays Bank. Yes. Barclays Bank, Heathrow Airport, a lot of these British institutions have got big contributions by the Qataris, by the UAE guys. Who's been funded by Israel? What's Israel doing other than asking and begging for money?
Yes.
Other than putting British lives at risk? Since the Balfour Declaration, pre-Balfour, like when the Brits were in Palestine, you had the Ergun and the Stern Gang, 2 terrorist Israeli groups that were killing British soldiers, like in the King David Hotel, killing British soldiers, John. And then afterwards, they took, by hook or by crook, They took Israel, and they've been doing that ever since 1947. And they've been sucking this country dry to such a degree 1 in 5 Brits are struggling to feed their kids.
Yeah, it's true.
That's why, John, I'm saying Britain first. That's the logic, and somebody that compromises that.
Well, who's not? You're saying Tommy. He's not putting Britain first, but I disagree with that.
No,
I really. In fact, through his media, I'm going to ask the question. I'm going to ask Tommy that question.
I think you should.
I will. Because I'm going to go home to do it tonight.
So let me give you a few points. Number one, he was heavily involved with the rebel media, which of course gets his funding from Israel, that has and puts forward its Israeli agenda. He gets funding from the likes of Middle East Forum, and there's a few other names that skip my mind, but you can just go on Mint Press News, type in Tommy Robinson, and his funding will come up. He's there with going on Israel, standing on tanks and saying, I will put Israel first, and saying I'm a Zionist.
Can I ask when that was?
That was I don't know the exact date, but all of the stuff is available online. But it would be worth looking at when it was if Tommy had retracted and said, you know what, I misspoke, I apologize, I'm going to put Britain first and Israel second. But
I'm going to try and get that answer for you.
Fantastic.
I will. So all my batteries are gone, so I don't really want to stand in front of you and not have any.
No problem. Well, it was a pleasure.
Well, that's still gone. That's still going, so that's good.
Okay.
But I'm not against you guys. I just want it all to stop. However we have to do it, as long as it's legal and fair. Let's hope it now finishes. Can I shake your hand?
Another example before you leave. The 5-6 biggest pornography sites that are famous, of course, in the US and the UK. Guess who they're owned by? A Muslim, a Jew, a Hindu, a Sikh? Who do you think?
I would not have ask me the question again. The pornography sites,
like Pornhub. And
what, legal ones or illegal ones?
The biggest ones. Who are they co-owned? Who are they owned and run by? Would you say it's a Jewish rabbi? Do you think it's a Christian priest? Do you think it's a Muslim imam? Or do you think it's a Hindu pundit?
From what I see, I would have.
You have zero lifelines.
Yeah, I would add another one in there, and I would add. So, I don't know. Well, guys, you are going to have to stay and watch the next video in a couple of days' time if you want to see the rest of that. There's not a lot more, but my answer to him hopefully will be interesting. Anyway, thank you very much for watching the video today, and I shall see you shortly. See you again next time. So from me, it's ciao.